Some motorcycles are just machines. They get you from A to B. Others, they're basically rolling sculptures. But it's incredibly rare to find one that manages to be both high art and just pure, unfiltered anger. Well, today we're diving deep into one of those rare beasts, the MV Agusta Brutale 1000RR. MV Agusta themselves call this bike the Extreme Hyper Naked. And look, that's not just some slick marketing line. This machine sits at the absolute top of a category that's all about taking a full-blown superbike, stripping off all the plastics, and unleashing it. It's making a serious case for being the king of the hill.
This quote right here, it gets to the very heart of it. This isn't just about horsepower numbers or how fast it can go. This bike is a rolling declaration of intent from the Italian factory. So the real question is, what exactly is that statement? Come on, let's peel back the layers and find out. To really get it, you've got to start with the visuals. Before you ever hit the starter button, before you ever hear that engine roar, you just see the thing. And this is where the art part of our story really begins.
Honestly, every single angle reveals another incredible detail. That iconic steel trellis frame, that's a signature MV move, and it flows perfectly into that sculpted tank. And you have to love the single-sided swing arm. It just puts that forged aluminum rear wheel on display like a piece of jewelry. And of course, the quad undertail exhaust. It looks just as mean as it sounds. All that carbon fiber isn't just to save weight, it's a stamp of pure exotic quality.
Okay, so we've admired the art. Now let's talk about the anger. We're going from the beautiful skin right to the heart of the machine, because this gorgeous exterior is hiding an absolute monster.
208 horsepower. Just let that sink in for a second. That is more power than a lot of sports cars, and it's packed into a machine that weighs next to nothing. This number right here is the source of the bike's brutal name and its absolutely fearsome reputation.
So, where in the world does that kind of power come from? Well, this isn't just any old engine. It's a 998cc inline-4, and its roots are planted firmly in top-tier motorcycle racing. We're talking titanium connecting rods, a lighter crankshaft. This is tech pulled directly from MV's World Superbike team. It's essentially a race engine that's been, let's say, barely tamed for the street.
And a huge part of that racing DNA is this, radial valves. It's a core piece of MV Agusta engineering. See, instead of sitting flat, the valves are angled, which creates this almost perfect dome-shaped combustion chamber. So what's the payoff? Well, it means you can fit larger valves, you get a much more efficient burn, and ultimately a massive boost in power and torque. It's super complex and expensive to make, which is exactly why you don't see it everywhere.
Okay, so you've got this beautiful piece of art with a race engine for a heart, which naturally begs the question, how on earth do you actually control it? Well, that's where the bike's incredibly sophisticated brain comes into play.
At the center of it all is a little magic box called a 6-axis IMU, and it's constantly measuring the bike's every single move. This is the master brain that makes everything else possible. It lets the traction control know how far you're leaned over. It allows the ABS to work safely in the middle of a corner, and it manages the front lift control to keep that front wheel from pointing at the sky when you unleash all 208 of those horses. It's really the digital safety net that makes this insane machine manageable.
But wait, the control doesn't just stop with the onboard systems. The bike's brain actually extends right into your pocket, connecting to your smartphone over Bluetooth. And this completely transforms the relationship between the rider and the machine.
Through the MV Ride app, you can adjust pretty much everything. Want to change how sensitive the throttle is? Or maybe tweak the engine braking? Or fine-tune that fancy electronically controlled Öhlins suspension? Yep, you can do it all right from your phone. You can even plan a trip and get turn-by-turn directions right on the bike's big color screen. It's like having your own personal race team technician on call 24/7.
Art, power, and tech? It all sounds fantastic on paper. But what happens when the rubber actually meets the road? Or, the racetrack?
And this is where the Brute's split personality really shows up. On a racetrack, this thing is nothing short of epic. Testers literally call it a race bike with no bodywork. It's rock solid at insane speeds, the chassis gives you amazing feedback, it will genuinely embarrass full-on superbikes. But on public roads, that track focus becomes a bit of a compromise. That firm suspension, even in its softest setting, can feel pretty harsh. And the riding position is really aggressive, way more like a racer than a comfy naked bike. It demands your full, undivided attention.
And yet, even with how demanding it can be, there's one thing that nobody can argue with. This quote from a road tester just sums it up perfectly. It doesn't matter where you are, track or road, going fast or slow, the Brutale is, and always will be, absolutely breathtaking. The art is the one constant.
So how does this unique blend of art and anger actually fit into the bigger picture? Let's put it head-to-head with its biggest competitor to really understand its unique place in the world.
Now this table, it reveals two totally different ways to build an extreme naked bike. You've got the MV with its classic screaming inline-4 engine inside a steel trellis frame, and in the other corner, you have the Ducati Streetfighter with a V4 engine in an aluminum frame. And check out the peak torque numbers. The Brutale needs to be revved all the way to 11,000 RPM to really sing, while the Ducati delivers its big punch much lower, down at 9,500.
So what does that mean on the road? Well, it means they have two totally different characters. The Brutale is all about that high-revving inline-4 howl. It feels like a precision instrument, a true track weapon wrapped in this exclusive, almost handcrafted finish. The Streetfighter, on the other hand, is just V4 fireworks. It's a punchier, torquier beast that feels explosive from the moment you twist the throttle. Both are Italian, both are amazing, but they speak two different languages of speed.
All of this brings us to the final and probably the most important question. Who is this bike actually for? I mean, who is the kind of person that chooses the demanding, beautiful artist over the explosive brawler? You know, the ideal Brutale 1000RR owner is a pretty specific type of rider. It's for the aesthete, the person who appreciates the tiny details, the beautiful welds. It's for the rider who wants that insane superbike acceleration but prefers the raw, stripped-down look. It's for someone who might hit a few track days a year but wants to own a true rolling masterpiece for the street. And really, it's for the collector who gets that this isn't just a motorcycle. It's a definitive statement piece.
And maybe that's the best way to think about it. The MV Agusta Brutale 1000RR is just an object of pure desire. It's not the most practical bike, it is definitely not the most comfortable, but it just might be the most special. It's a machine that's as rewarding as it is demanding. Truly, the most beautiful bad habit you could ever possibly have.